Okay, good afternoon once again to you all, my dear students of P6. And today's lesson, like I said, I'm reteaching yesterday's lesson, which failed to work due to internet. So what we're supposed to cover yesterday is what we are covering today, our last day of week 3. We shall just go straight directly to the learning objectives of this lesson, or rather the reason as to why we are going to have this lesson. Remember, we are at the climax of groups of birds. We are looking at the groups of birds, and right now, or in today's lesson, we are going to have the last groups, which would be the climbing birds and the flightless birds. So by the end of this lesson, everyone should be in position to describe. When I say to describe, it's like at least to give vivid information. You get enough information about these groups of what? Birds, the climbing birds and the flightless birds. And still to mention examples in each group of birds and to describe the adaptations of each group of birds. On the same side, describe adaptations of why birds are able to fly. Yes, moving on, we have there climbing birds. Our session is there, climbing birds. We are saying climbing birds. They are birds that are well adapted to climb trunks. That is known as tree trunks. So those birds which are called climbing birds are well adapted. They are very well adapted to climb trees. That's why they are called the climbing birds. Most of them dig holes in tree stems and use them as their habitats. So most of these birds dig holes in the tree trunks or tree stems and use them as their habitat, their shelter. And that's where they sleep. So these birds, they are called climbing birds because in their lifetime, they are more of climbing the trees to get insects, to dig holes there for shelter. And we shall look at adaptation of these birds. Please, I don't expect anyone to copy the notes because I shared the lesson notes in Google Classroom. I hope you can receive, or you received. So adaptations of climbing birds. What makes climbing birds adapted? Or what enables them to climb these trees? What enables them more suitable for climbing these trees? We are saying the adaptation is they have two toes. They have two toes pointed forward. They have two toes pointed forward and two toes pointed backwards. Two forward, then two backwards. And that one alone enables them to climb trees very well, or to climb where they want to climb very well. So the adaptation, remember we are talking about the features which enable these birds to do what? To climb. They'll ask you to draw or to give the adaptation of climbing birds that makes them able to climb trees easily. And the answer is they have two toes pointed forward and two toes pointed backwards for easy climbing. Are we together? Examples of climbing birds. Examples of climbing birds. We are saying we have number one, we have parrots, we have woodpecker or woodpeckers, we have hornbills, right? Those are the best examples or the simple and common examples that we have under climbing birds. What I want to emphasize is to be in position to draw the foot of a climbing bird, because they will ask you in the space provided to draw a foot of a climbing bird. You should be in position to draw the way you see it is here. That's how we can draw. Last time we were drawing a foot of what? Of a swimming bird. And here is a foot of a climbing bird. It has two toes pointed forward and two toes pointed backward. In case they tell you to draw that foot of a climbing bird, you should be in position. And of course, These lessons here, or this content I'm teaching is very common. That's where they can either ask you, the diagram below shows a foot of a bird, then they ask you to which group of bird does it belong. You should know that of a climbing bird is like that shape. You can see I'm trying to draw mine. You see? You see? I hope you can see I'm drawing a foot of a climbing bird. 2 toes pointed forward and 2 toes pointed backward. Of course, these birds have scales on their legs. If you remember very well what we looked at in the characteristics of birds, they have scales on their legs. You get? So that is a foot of a climbing bird. They will say the diagram shows foot of a bird. Use it to answer questions that follow. They ask you, to which group of birds does it belong? The answer is climbing bird. Then they ask you, how is the above foot adapted to suit its function? And the answer will be, it has 2 toes pointed forward and 2 toes pointed backwards for easy climbing. Another question can be, give any 2 examples of such groups of birds or birds that belong to the above group. We have parrots, we have woodpecker, as we are hearing the word woodpecker. To peck, you know what to peck? Of course, in the poultry vices, we talk about top pecking, feather pecking. That's like using the beak to pick something or to pierce something. So woodpeckers, they are mostly adapted at that. The diagram here, you can see them. They are big. This beak you can see here, it is in position to make holes, to peck the wood and make small holes in the stem so that it can be used as the habitat. So in summary, climbing birds are those birds that adapted to climb. How are they adapted? They have 2 toes pointed forward and 2 toes pointed backward for easy climbing. Example, parrots, woodpecker, and the honeybees. When they are telling you to draw, they will only tell you to draw the foot, not the beaks. They can't tell you to draw the beaks because they have different beaks, but they have the same foot type. So you should know the foot of a climbing bird. I hope that one has been very clear to everyone. Yes, we shall go to another group of birds called flightless birds, right? And we are saying these are birds which do not fly. As you're hearing the word flightless birds, that means with things dealing with the flight, they don't do that. So flightless birds are birds which do not fly. They just move by walking, running, or hopping. Altogether, those are the flightless birds. Examples of flightless birds. Examples of these flightless birds, we have the kiwi. We have penguin. The penguins. If I talk about a penguin, of course, you know a penguin. They are mostly found on the shores of water bodies, especially the oceans. This one is the penguin. It's a bird, but it is like an animal. I mean, it's like these mammals, Of course, it has these wings which are modified for swimming. Instead of again climbing, flying, the wings are used for swimming. You get? So they ask you, how are wings of a penguin, or how does a penguin benefit from its wings? Don't say it helps it to fly. No, it helps it in swimming. All together. Hope that one's okay. Then we have the ostrich or an ostrich. An ostrich is here, one of the fastest animals, birds in the whole world, in the universe. You can see they can grow, of course, giantly, and they can obtain a certain height, extremely height. I mean extreme height. They are good at running. They are, of course, one of the heaviest birds in the universe. Those are called ostriches or an ostrich. It is an example of a flightless bird because it cannot fly. We have what we call emu. Unfortunately, I have no pic here, but next lesson I will bring it. Emu. So it is EMU, emu. And some other examples like cassowary, like ray, all those ones are examples of flightless birds. So flightless birds are those birds which do not fly, but they are good at running or walking. Examples, the ostrich is the commonest example, the penguins, the kiwi, emu, and we have cassowary and ray. The question is there on your screen. They will ask you that question. Why can't flightless birds fly? Why can't flightless birds fly? Or why are they unable to fly? Why are flightless birds unable to fly? Number one, as you can see, there are two answers. It is option. It depends on how many answers they want. But there are two reasons behind. Number one, their wings are too small and weak. This point directly goes to an ostrich and a kiwi. If you look at the ostrich, it is a giant bird. Like I've said, it is a giant bird. However, its wings are such small compared to the size of their body. You get me? Compare the size of their body or its body. You get? So the wings being too small and weak, it cannot or they cannot support it to fly because it is one of the heaviest and giant birds. So one of the reasons as to why those birds cannot fly is that they have too small and weak wings. They have too small and weak wings. That's point one. Point number two, they have a lot of bone marrows in their bones. They have a lot of bone marrows in their bones. Do you know bone marrow? I hope all of us know bone marrows. Last time I was talking about bone marrows. Of course, if you have ever eaten what we call chicken, especially the part of the thigh, there's that bone. That's called the femur. Is that bone? When you like break it, inside it there are some tissues. There are some tissues which are very soft, like powdered form. When you suck, those tissues are what we call bone marrows. We also have them. Most of the animals have them, and they are found in the bones. We shall look at them when it comes to P7, how they are important. So these are most of these animals, most of these birds, which are unable to fly. The reason behind that is having a lot of bone marrows in their bones. Remember, their bones are supposed to be what we call hollow. They're supposed to have hollow bones like that, just when they are just the tubes without something inside. So most of them have hollow bones. However, few of them, especially the flightless birds, have things like that inside the bone marrows. You get me? So being they have bone marrows in their bones, these bone marrows make them heavy. They make them heavy, making them difficult to fly, making for them difficult to fly. So answers are two. I've said answers are two. Number one, we have weak and small wings. That's one. Number two, we have presence of bone marrows in their bones. They have bone marrows that prevents them from, although that they have bone marrows that makes them heavy to fly. That's how you're supposed to give that answer. The answer is supposed to be, they have a lot of bone marrows that makes them heavy to fly. Or their wings are too small and weak to support their body during flight. As simple as that. So that's what we call flightless birds. That's what we call flightless birds. We have finished climbing birds. We have also finished what we call flightless birds. Last session, I'll be giving you adaptations of birds to flying. How are these birds, those ones which are adapted to fly, or those ones which are able to fly, how are they adapted? What enables them able to fly? Number one, we have they have a streamlined body. Streamlined body. They have a streamlined body, which reduces reduces air resistance. When you talk about streamlined, someone will ask, what is streamlined body? We mean that their body is somehow what? Sharp. Of course, you have ever seen birds when they are flying, they make that shape. They make that shape when they are flying. You get? They have that shape they make, as I'm drawing on your screen. You can see very well the screen. You get? So they make that shape very sharp, so that air does not resist their movement. You get? But they cannot fly when they are of this shape. Yeah. Of course, wind will be coming, or that air in motion will be resisting or preventing them to move. Here, when it comes, it just slides, it goes off. So they have a streamlined body in order to reduce air resistance. Now, these are 2 points here. Every point has a keyword, and it's a reason. It's a reason. Here, if you look at streamlined body, they will ask you, how do birds benefit from streamlined body? The streamlined body, I've explained it, and the answer is streamlined body helps them to reduce air resistance. Helps them to reduce air resistance. That's one. So adaptations, these are very simple things to note. We just need you to be in position to know the keywords. What enables them to fly? Number one, talk about streamlined body. How is it important? Reduces air resistance. Number two, talk about hollow bones. You get? They have hollow bones. I've already talked about that. That those birds which are in position to fly have hollow bones. Those ones which are flightless birds, or the ones which cannot fly, have what we call bony marrows. And bony marrows, you know that if they have bony marrows, they will be heavy. So they will be unable to fly. So these birds which are able to fly, they have hollow bones, which reduces their weight. That one's very clear and simple. Another one, they have well-developed pectoral muscles. They have well-developed pectoral muscles that enables them to fly. Pectoral muscles are just, of course, you know, muscles like your body, of course. I would call it meat, like something. If you raise your hand and do like that, like this, you fold, you bend the arm, of course, you'll see the muscle, right? So the pectoral muscle I'm talking about is here. It is attached to the wings. You get? It's attached to their wings. So that pectoral muscle on the wings, it is the one that enables them to fly. You get? So they have pectoral muscle that enables them to fly. Another point, they have a nictitating membrane. They have what? Nictitating, not nictitating. I repeat, it is not nictitating, it is nictitating. Nictitating. There are 3 T's there. Nictitating membrane. Nictitating membrane, just a simple layer or a membrane that covers the eyes or bird's eyes during flight. So they have the nictitating membrane to protect their eyes during flight. They will ask you, name the membrane that protects the bird's eyes during flight. The answer is nictitating membrane. The answer is nictitating membrane. Last part, their forelimbs are modified to form wings for flight. Their forelimbs, when I talk about forelimbs, I mean their legs, you get? Are modified. To modify is like to to be changed into something. You get, to make up something. So their forelimbs are modified into wings. That means they are changed into wings for flight. So you have ever seen these birds when they are flying? They tend to fold their what? Their legs. They tend to fold their legs like that, so that they can fly very well. You get? So their legs are modified or are changed to form something like wings that helps them to fly. I hope I was very clear on that. The points I want to emphasize here is this, the streamlined body. That's one. Number two, this one, hollow bones. Number three, this one, nictitating membrane. Those are the 3 points I want to emphasize. I'm not saying that drop the rest of the two, but all of them are important. However, I'm saying the ones I want to emphasize most are those 3: streamlined body to reduce air resistance, hollow bones to reduce weight, and nictitating membrane to protect their eyes during flight. Right now, I will say I've finished all the objectives that we wanted to cover, but I'm going to make what we call a recap or an overview. What we've covered. We started with the climbing birds, and we said they are those birds which are well adapted to climb. They are good at making holes in the trees and use them as their habitat. Habitat is shelter, of course. The adaptation, we've said they have 2 toes pointed forward and 2 toes pointed backwards. Examples, we have parrots, woodpecker, hornbills. Flightless birds, these are birds which do not fly. These are the flightless birds. Here they will ask you to know, please you should know how to draw the foot of a climbing bird. Flightless birds, they don't know how to fly, or they are unable to fly, but they are good at walking and running. Examples, we have kiwi, penguins, ostrich, and emu. Ostrich and what? Emu. I've given you a question. Why can't they fly? Why are they unable to fly? Their wings are too small and weak as compared to their body. So their wings are too small and weak to help them fly or to support their flight. They have a lot of bony marrows in their bodies or their bones that makes them heavy for flight. Those are being flightless birds. Adaptations of birds to flying, those ones which are good at flying. We've said streamlined body to reduce air resistance. I've explained the streamlined body. We've said hollow bones, which reduce their weight. I've talked about that. Pectoral muscle that enables them to fly. I mentioned that. Nictitating membrane. It is just covers the eyes, the lens, that eye exactly. So that there is nothing like strong wind or dust that can injure their eyes. Then their forelimbs are modified to form wings for flight. And that has been our lesson for today. Right now, in like 4 minutes, we are going to, or 8 minutes, we are going to have the check for understanding. I'll be asking some questions as you can see them on your screen there. Shall be answering one by one, and we call it a lesson. Number 1, the chat is open to everyone to type in. Remember, as you're typing in, you have to put in number this, the answer is this, number this, the answer is this, number this, the answer is this. You are free to type all of them at once or to type one by one. Okay, we go. How are climbing birds adapted to climb trees? That is number 1. How are climbing birds adapted to climb trees? You can either type the chat, you can raise the hand. Lukozi Gavin, raise the hand. Okay, Lukozi Gavin, give us the answer.
Climbing birds are birds that are well adapted to climbing trees.
Okay, thank you for trying, but you did not understand the question. The question is not asking what are climbing birds. The question is how are climbing birds adapted to climb trees? Let me check my chat. I can see answers. Jaden, thank you. But you have to add something. Jaden, you say for climbing, for easy climbing. Can I get answers? How are climbing birds? How are climbing birds well adapted to climb trees? Very fast, very fast. Melissa, thank you. Melissa and Maria, thank you. That's very good. Good answer. Isaac, thank you. I can see answer for number 2. That's okay. Isaac. Aguti, your answer is not right. The answer is how are they able? What makes them able to climb trees? What makes them able to climb trees? Kalamaji, I've seen your answer. Good. Thank you, Kalamaji. Jaden, I've seen your answer. Thank you for number 2. The rest I'm waiting for your answers. Holy Peace, I've not seen any answer. Patel, I've seen your answer for number 1. Okay, right now we have closed the number 1. We have closed number 1. We are going to number 2. They have toes front and back for physical climbing. Okay, so all of us, the answer for number 1, is they have 2 toes. Don't say they have toes. Answer for number 1 is they have 2 toes pointed forward and 2 toes pointed backward. That is number 1. Number 1, the answer is that. Number 1, the answer is that one. They have 2 toes pointed forward and 2 toes pointed backwards. That is my answer. They have sent to everyone. They have 2 toes. They have 2 toes pointed forward and 2 toes pointed backward for easy climbing. That should be the right answer to everyone. Number 2. Yeah, they have. Should be they have. Nalwa to keep the birds for number 2. Thank you, Nalwa. I've seen number 2. Jaden, I've seen your number 3. That's good. Patel, I've seen your number 2. That's good. I don't know what Chloe is doing there. I don't know what the Holy Peace is doing. I'm not seeing any answer from you. Chloe, Holy Peace. Isaac, thank you for number 3. I've seen your answer. We have a few minutes left. Hurry up. Aguti, I've seen your number 2. Thank you. Lukozi Gavin, I've seen your number 2. That's good. Chloe, I've seen your number 2. Holy Peace, I don't know what you're doing. Jackson, I've not seen anything. Nyakajiri, Prosi, I've not seen anything. Nyamorin James, I don't know what you're doing. And the Adet. Jaden, I've seen your number 4. That's good. Kalamaj, I've seen your number 3. Melissa, thank you. I've seen number 3. Aguti, thank you. I've seen your number 3. Isaac, I've seen your number 4. Okay. The remaining minutes we are left with. Let's go to number 5. I've seen people answering. Adet, I've just seen your number 2. Chloe, I've seen number 3. Thank you. Adet, number 2 is not right. An ostrich does not swim. Does ostrich swim? An ostrich doesn't swim. Number 4, they have a lot of bone marrows. That's okay, Melissa and Maria, thank you. Okay, let's go to number 5. Set any 2 adaptations for birds to fly. Adaptations for birds to fly. We've said, can someone raise their hands and give us the answers? Adaptations for the birds to fly. Thank you, Isaac. I've seen your answer. Can I see hands up so that we can close this? We are on number 5. State any 2 adaptations for birds to fly. Okay, Jaden, thank you. I've seen your answer. Adet, give us the answer. Melissa, thank you. I've seen your answer. Adet, I've said unmute and give us the answer. Melissa, thank you.
They have hollow bones which reduce their weight.
Okay, that's one. Another one, give us any other.
Their forelimbs are modified to form wings for flight.
Okay, I hope you're not reading from somewhere, not so?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
They have a streamlined body which reduces air resistance.
Okay, thank you very much. They have streamlined body. They have their forelimbs are modified into wings. They have streamlined body. They have hollow bones. Thank you. Number 6. Let us all of us draw a foot of a climbing bird. Let us all draw a foot of a climbing bird and we call it a lesson. I'm going to close the chat so that we can all concentrate and draw a foot of a climbing bird. Chloe, thank you. I've seen your answer for number 5. And Aguti, thank you. My daughters. Melissa, I saw your answer. Thank you. Okay, we are on number 6. All of us, we are on number 6, drawing a foot of a climbing bird. Just we have 1 minute. We have 1 minute. As you are drawing, I can just say it has been a great lesson to be with you. And at this time, I say we have covered groups of birds. We have covered groups of birds. Still, I will say we have covered what we call warm-blooded animals. If you remember very well, we talked about warm-blooded animals and cold-blooded as you are drawing your work. Warm-blooded animals and cold-blooded animals, yes. So we said under warm-blooded we have birds and mammals. We started with the mammals and we finished them. We have been handling birds, we have finished them. So coming Monday, we shall have what we call cold-blooded animals, the remaining 3 groups, the cold-blooded animals, which when we finish those 3 groups, that means the topic will be done. So the cold-blooded animals we shall start with reptiles. I will ask all of you to go and make some research about reptiles, and so that as I introduce it, you'll be in position to answer some questions about reptiles. Thank you, everyone. I want to wish you the best. I'm just waiting for your work on the screen. Yes. Okay, Kalamaji, thank you very much. Such a very good diagram. Thank you, Kalamaji. Kalamaji, I've seen yours. Agwang Daniela, you have drawn for us cassava and the sweet potatoes. We are left with less than a minute, but if it goes off, don't mind. I will need to ask